Have you ever bought something just because it was on sale, and then, a few weeks later, realized it wasn't worth it? Maybe a cheap pair of headphones that stopped working, clothes that faded after just a few washes, or even furniture that started falling apart. It happens more often than we'd like to admit. The problem is that, at the moment of purchase, the focus is on the price, not the value. We feel smart for saving, but in the end, we end up spending more on replacements, repairs, and frustration. That's what we call the invisible cost. What the price tag doesn't show, but time will charge you for. And if you want to stop falling into this silent trap that drains your money and sabotages your freedom, this video is for you. Many people associate financial intelligence with paying less, but paying less doesn't always mean saving. Sometimes, it's just postponing the damage. When you buy an item just because it's cheap, without considering quality, durability, or utility, you're giving up not just money, but also your peace of mind. Imagine this: you buy a $120 pair of sneakers. That lasts 3 months. By the end of the year, you've bought 4 pairs. Total, $480. Now think about a $300 pair that lasts the whole year. Which one is really cheaper? This kind of simple, direct math can completely change how you consume. Real savings happen when you spend less in the long run, not just at the check out. The invisible costs shows up in many ways. And we're not just talking about money. It's also the time lost fixing something that never should have broken. The frustration of expecting a good experience that never comes. The stress of dealing with something that should make life easier, but only complicates it. You buy the cheapest vacuum, but it barely works. You get the affordable office chair, but your back hurts after a week. In the long run, this pattern not only affects your wallet, it drains your energy, your productivity, and even your health. Buying cheap often turns out more expensive than it looks. Now let's get to the point. Where are the biggest traps? What are the purchases that seem smart but drain your money over time? First, home appliances. That $20 blender might do the job for now, but in 2 months, the blade breaks. The lid won't fit, and you're already looking for a new one. If you had invested a bit more, you'd have a more durable, effective product. Second, fast fashion. Cheap, trendy, but low quality. After 3 washes, the piece doesn't fit, it fades, it tears, and then comes the replacement. Third, cheap furniture made with low-density materials. The chair falls apart, the desk squeaks, the drawer jams. You get frustrated, waste time, and end up buying again. Fourth example, used cars without inspection. The price is tempting, but the maintenance costs drown you. Replacement parts, labor, electrical issues, bad paperwork. Cheap becomes expensive, very expensive. And the fifth, maybe most dangerous point, cheap services or courses. You know that $20 consultation that gave you no value, or that financial miracle course full of false promises and 0 results. You don't just lose money, you lose time, motivation, and worse, your trust in trying again. Cheap, when it brings no real value, becomes a silent thief of your progress. So how do you break out of this cycle? How can you tell if a purchase is worth it, or just another invisible cost in disguise? Start with a simple exercise. Calculate the cost per use. Divide the product's price by how many times you estimate you'll use it. A $300 pair of sneakers worn 150 times costs $2 per use. A $120 pair that lasts only 30 wears. That's $4 per use. The difference is clear. Another helpful question: will this item bring me value over the next 6 months? Or is it just a temporary fix for a momentary desire? Thinking with a long-term mindset helps cut out impulsive buying. Buying consciously is one of the most powerful ways to gain freedom. When you choose better, you spend less over time, feel less stress, and have more peace of mind. But to get there, you need to shift your focus. Stop thinking short-term and start looking ahead. Instead of asking how much does it cost, start asking how much is it worth. Value includes durability, practicality, satisfaction, and even the time a product or service saves you. That mindset is what separates people constantly struggling from those starting to build a life with more balance and confidence. Some simple habits can change the game. Before buying, do your research. Read reviews, watch videos, compare brands, ask questions, use comparison websites, smart discount apps, and consider second-hand options with good quality. And remember, a promotion only makes sense if you already needed the item before seeing the price. If not, it's a trap. Over time, you'll realize you don't need to buy more, you just need to buy better. And that gives you power. The power to choose, to plan, and, most importantly, to live more lightly. You know that old saying, cheap ends up expensive? It's never been more true. In a world full of offers, coupons, and stimuli, saying no to impulse and yes to intelligence is an act of freedom. Because every purchase decision is also a life decision. If you buy in a rush, you pay in interest. If you choose with awareness, you gain peace. And that peace gives you space to grow, plan, and achieve your dreams without debt or regret. If this video opened your eyes to something you hadn't noticed, share it with someone who also falls into the cheap trap. Like the video, comment below. What was the last impulsive purchase you made and regretted? Let's exchange experiences, learn together, and build a smarter, simpler financial life. Because what feels like savings today might be costing your freedom tomorrow. And you deserve much more than that. See you in the next video. Pegwantar, our chat cheap.